My name is Jenee, also known as Jenee, and I'll be your host and moderator for this event. We just, like I said, want to thank you on behalf of GlobeVision for coming out, the panelists for volunteering their time. They have a wealth of knowledge that they'll be sharing here today. We respect you all's time, so we're going to go ahead and get started, okay? Now, this is our marketing strategy panel. This is the business of music industry panel. So every panel discussion will have, of course, will have something to do with the business of music. So we're starting off with marketing, which is usually a forefront with dealing with music. I have some general questions, and you guys should go through and kind of, answer from your experience. But we're going to first start off by just introducing yourself to the crowd and how you're connected to the business, music business.
Hey everyone, my name is Landry. I am the co-founder of DeNovo agency and an entertainment attorney. So, do all the fun stuff that you guys don't want to read contracts and all that.
Somebody Jenee on team.
Yeah, how y'all doing? I'm Joel Davis, aka the Jenee exec. I help rap artists kind of create success for my community.
Hey guys, my name is Elliot Tousley. I partnered with James for DeNovo Agency, and I focus on data-driven music marketing and forming target audiences for up-and-coming musicians.
How y'all doing today? My name is Isaac Hamm, CEO and founder of imqmedia.com, an event marketing, brand strategy company. Help with anything, any type of brand that needs marketing strategies, I pretty much can handle.
Now, you already spoke a little bit about data-driven, in the music industry. How do you all feel about artists attempting to manipulate or skew their numbers when trying to get on certain charts, i.e. most recently, Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez?
Well, I would say there are two different ways. Like, you can kind of organically try to skew the numbers, or you can use like fake accounts and bots and things that just will not benefit you in any way. And also, using accounts and services like that, Spotify will actually take you right off. And if you're not on the biggest streaming platform in the world, then good luck to your music business. But I think, if anything, it's really all a marketing tactic, regardless of how it actually impacts the charts, because here we are talking about Justin Bieber, and if it worked or not. So I would say it did.
I don't know, I just think going around the days where you put out music and your audience makes that determination for you whether you chart or not because we enjoy it. So in that aspect, do you think it's a little kind of funky that they're doing things of that nature?
I think if you don't get their music in front of them to begin with, it's never going to happen. Nothing's ever going to take off. And it's all about reputation and being recognized in something. The underlying beat tells you a lot about the song. But if no one's listening to that song, it doesn't matter.
Anybody else? All right. I have a lot of questions for you. Next one. How has social media impacted the music industry financially? More on the area, do you feel like record labels are, taking money that they might have spent years ago doing X, Y, Z? At the end of the day, social media is, in a sense, free. Do you all think they're kind of shifting dollars and basically the financial impact social media has had on marketing and music?
As far as scaling down the money, I think with social media, from the standpoint of so many opportunities to make money, people are taking the initiative to create their own stream of income. So the label's looking at it like, if you can post and you get so many followers and that 10% or 15% are buying that or tapping on that link, they're winning. So the labels are probably like, hey, we don't have to pay you so much because you have so many millions of followers and you're making your own money on top of what we're providing for you. So I think social media is helping in many platforms to save money and also to make money. You got people like Candy, she's continuously creating new content, and then it's like she's doing something else. So she already has you hooked on a sex toy, but then she comes and talks about something else, and it's like, oh, we're already tied into her email as long as you're doing is flipping the title and sending it to you. And you're like, I didn't know that. So with social media, you're able to just really create your own money and not really have to report it to whoever because it's under your LLC, it's under your whatever you want to title with the IRS. So I think social media is a win for a lot of, for various reasons if done right.
So I think even from like an independent standpoint, the independent artist, social media kind of levels the playing field. If you can tap into certain audiences or get in front of certain people's pages or something like that, it's much faster to reach your fans rather than traditional spending hundreds of thousands on radio to get the same impact. You can create a dance video on challenge and go viral on TikTok and reach the same amount of success.
Now, I was hearing, like I said, I don't know, y'all are industry experts on this, but I heard, like I was saying, with the marketing dollars that, these industries have, they're taking that money and putting it into a challenge. You know what I'm saying? You would think it's an organic person just coming up with this dance, but a record label has put money behind this particular person, and we thinking it's organic, but they were paid to do that. So maybe that's the shift financially where they're putting their marketing dollars where social media comes into play.
And the shift financially doesn't even have to be a big dollar. It's like, I think it was Nike, and if you buy the sneaker and then tag, you can make money off of so many people. So big companies can find everyday people that just want to be recognized by a major brand. So you see people on social media, they'll post, you'll have that outfit on, that can be Zara, that can be Gucci, it can be whatever. Because they had a big sale on my shirt yesterday. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to pay for Zara. We need to tag Zara, maybe all get a check. But you see how you do that. So Zara don't need to put money into nobody because we're doing it. We're not getting paid for it. Unless they decide to have a marketing social media thing where they grab you because you got so many. That's like you got your Fashion Nova and all that stuff. I know artists that keep on tagging New York company and now they're getting sponsored by that. So it's kind of like the bigger companies know that we're stuck on our phones, so you're going to do the job. So money is being saved. There's more parties that we're not invited to, that they're putting money into, that we're working for free. So we have to figure out how to not work for free. And that's when it comes down to marketing. And you say, hey, I do this, that, and the other. I'm in front of so many people, you should pay me. And then your check is bigger than mine, and I just posted one Zara shirt, and you get the whole check for not even doing 2 posts a week. So I think if we think smarter on the marketing platform and present ourselves as a brand, then that's how we get the check and we have that table conversation with the corporation.
Right. And you just tapped into something, because I am an influencer/blogger, so I do that all the time. And a lot of people think it's just pretty pictures, she gets dressed up, but I'm like, my little picture that I took, I paid to buy this, I paid the photographer. Like you said, I'm in front of X amount of people, and they're in turn going to Zara, and that costs Zara nothing at the end of the day. So when Zara cuts me a check, or these influencers a check, it's just like, it's a smaller check than what they have to do traditional marketing, but it's just like, I still am a sort of value.
But it's a bigger check for you than the
right.
person's like it.
And that's what I'm saying, it's a lesser check that they have to cut to do a whole commercial. Like I said, at the end of the day, social media is practically free. But with that being said, I see a lot of kind of blurring the line of influencer music artists. They're not just a music artist, like you said, you're tagging. So how do y'all feel, I guess, that direction that music artists are going into, not just being that music brand, but representing other brands?
I'll take a step at that one. I think the more avenues that a music business can have for revenue, the better, right? Because it is a business at the end of the day. And like what you think of maybe what a music business was in 1996, where it's like, okay, make an album, go to MTV, go to the radio, play a tour, repeat. Like now it's a lot more going on.
Sell merch,
right?
Make appearances.
Depending on the artist, one artist's particular biggest avenue of revenue they might have might be their YouTube content, and they're getting paid off of the royalties for their views and the ads on their channel. Like they're going to have a way different marketing strategy than someone who's like they might have a lot of brand influences on Instagram, or they started an alcohol business, or they partnered with some, how many different rappers have their own strain of weed now. And it's like they kind of just pay somebody else, or actually usually the companies go to them saying, hey, I have this product, do you want 20% of the company to be Lil Wayne's weed? And he goes, yeah. But I think the more areas that you have to make potential revenue off of your brand that happens to be built on music, like it's still you're still the brand, and if you use the vehicle to grow your brand is music, it's still you.
Right.
Like you get paid to show up at the club, like not your song.
Right.
So like, the more the better.
I have one last question for you all, and then did you want to ask that?
Just adding to like the partnership, like you have any event, major event you go to, Lyft is sponsoring or Uber is sponsoring it. I don't know, anybody know what Toro.com is? Anybody that's out of town and y'all spend a whole lot of money on, I'm not gonna say this either, but like Avis and all that stuff, go on Toro. It's like an Airbnb for cars, right? But if you scroll, you can spend $250 and get a Lamborghini a day. So you have this artist now that's promoting that. As we sit here in LA for Grammys, they're promoting that. But you want to live like a rock star, you want to pay $250 and ride around in a Porsche and return it. But won't nobody know because you're going to flick it up, you're going to be on Instagram, you're going to play their music because it may come with their music inside the car already programmed. So it's so many ways that the artists don't even need that service, but they need that check, or they want that check. So I think it's so many ways that people can, even on our levels of not being millionaires, you can find those ways, and it's all about your marketing strategy, your mission statement. You know, my slogan is the brand is you. If I'm not sure of who I am, I can't make you believe that I'm somebody.
Now, and maybe I can speak from the opposite side versus the artist reaching out to a brand doing the opposite. Just because I'm in tune with certain things, I notice in movies or music videos how things are placed. So if you look in Lil Baby's Bop video, there's a monster, big as that. What do y'all think about that as far as artists? I guess, same way, but it's not the artist reaching out, but brands are, aware enough, like, X amount of people are going to watch this video. Let me play some monster, and now we wasn't interested in buying the monster, but now we are. How can, I guess, artists take advantage of being able to work with monster, and not really have to, it's not like even a monster commercial, but I'm like, why is there a monster in the baby video?
I'd say one of the best ways is to avoid doing it for free. Don't tag them. You can have it, but if you don't tag them, then they're not getting that confirmation that it's there. And if they pay you, they're going to ask you to tag them. But unless they're paying you, either blur it out or don't tag them. And let it sit there.
And just to add to the pros and cons of tagging, if I tag Nike, so Dolly Parton, everybody's doing it. So I couldn't sing a Dolly Parton song about what, I probably could if I thought about it, but because it's trending, I'm doing Dolly Parton challenge. But more people that are searching that, they want to find my page. I'm a wind up an Explorer page. So sometimes if you don't care about a brand or somebody getting money off of that, because Dolly Parton is never, everything is going up. Everybody black is singing a Whitney Houston song that Dolly Parton wrote. So Whitney not getting that dollar. So at the end of the day, we're tagging and we're running to find somebody and sing those songs, and so many checks are being split. But that's a trending thing. So sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. As long as it's not an abused thing by that company, but you go in knowing that you're not making no money. I feel like, so it's like 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
Gotcha.
So you use the person.
So I'm still gonna ask, I got a little time to ask my last question, and we're gonna open up for 1 or 2 questions from the audience if y'all have any. I follow you all on social media. I want to leave the audience with some tangible things that they can work on as far as marketing. And so like I said, I know y'all share all day, I see y'all's posts. So what are some things that you can share with some of the artists in the room to kind of get them on their feet when it comes to marketing? Yeah, we got time for everybody.
I would say the target audience thing is very, very important because there are over 40,000 songs uploaded onto Spotify every day. So it's very hard to get that algorithm it can be very tricky to catch the algorithm's attention when it needs to analyze 40,000 songs every day. So if you have a target audience or some way to kind of create an organic buzz to kind of find a sweet spot of an audience, the algorithm will also start picking up on that information as much as you do. How old folks are, where they're located, what other artists are they listening to. That's usually the most important one. And if the algorithm starts to understand that similar audiences to yours also like artist 1, 2, and 3, well, they're going to start pairing them together. But you need to create that data for the algorithm to kind of go, what is this? In order to catch its attention at all. And one thing I would say is making good quality music takes a lot of time, usually. It takes good money to go to a good studio, get a good engineer, get it distributed, make an album cover, you're putting hundreds of dollars in before the song's even up. And music is still new to everyone who hasn't heard it yet. So a lot of artists come to us and they think that the answer is every Friday I gotta put out a new song, I need new content. It's like, well, you can rebrand the song or like repackage it in a different piece of content or target it to different people with the same song rather than putting out 100 songs one every Friday for 2 years. Maybe put out 10 and target 10 different groups of people with that one song rather than, oh, I need a new song just because I need new content. So be leery of that.
So we're working smarter, not
Yeah,
harder.
work smarter, not harder.
So if everybody grabs one of these cards before they leave, on there it says the brand is you, live by it, be about it, and stand by it. That's my mantra, that's what I live with every day. So I feel like this, if you stay consistent as your brand, if you're a rapper, if you're an influencer, social media influencer, you create those hashtags, you create that content that is consistent with day one of you either rebranding yourself or just being that brand. And it's okay to rebrand. So everybody in this room may think that they're doing something correct and not getting the results, but you can, when you leave out of here after hearing the panels, think about your brand. Do a SWOT analysis. Anybody know what a SWOT analysis is? Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. If you're friends with people, I sit around the table and just throw stuff in those boxes and realize, because I'm a talkative person, but you can also be too talkative to tuck your way out of a check, tuck your way into a check, be weak in talking, period. So talking can be in all 4 boxes, and you have to work on those in all 4 different situations. So don't be scared to just do a SWOT analysis on yourself. When you on your way back home on the plane, just do it and figure out when you get home, like, damn, okay, 4 of these things are in the same box, and how do you fix those? And they may not be bad, it just may be something that you may not need to do at that specific time in the interaction with your the person, the client, or whoever. But the brand is you. Stick by your brand. Think about your brand. Rebrand if you need to. And Google too. Like, Google some of this stuff. Just Google and read some YouTube. Like, listen to YouTube.
YouTube University is my best friend.
Yeah, just learn first and learn what you're going into before you pay somebody too. Like, don't just throw money at stuff. Understand what that person does for you, for your brand, and what they've done in the past. So.
I'll add on real quick. So people are too focused on social media, and there's no return on investment. If you're going on Instagram to get your follower count up, you will never make it in music. No one cares about your Instagram followers. If you have 20,000 people following your Instagram and 10 people listening to your music monthly, it means nothing. It means you post cool pictures maybe, or funny videos. Your marketing should be focused on where people are listening. And people are listening on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, really. But you need to there's advertisements. You can get an ad on Spotify. If you don't know your target audience, you can't do it yourself, but you could go get an ad on your own. You can go through a company like us and do playlist placements and find out who's listening to your music and find fans. Because you'd rather get 10 saves on a song than 10 followers.
Drop some mic. Just kidding. Now, anybody in the audience have a question? Gonna go over here first? Okay.
Thank you. Benjamin Carlton. You kind of answered my question a little bit, but I would like others to dive in. The conversation was very social media heavy focused, and going on the traditional ways of being known or becoming big, but too much emphasis is placed on social media. I don't know if you remember when Instagram went down, all the influencers were going crazy because they weren't making money because that was their only source of money. What are some traditional ways that are still working to get exposure, to get your music heard, to get numbers up, that are outside of social media? So if social media went away today, how are you still being able to continue your brand and continue your motion as an artist?
I'm still a big fan of email blasts. Anybody send out email blasts? I mean, because from the AOL days, how do we get? So if you think I'm 38, so I'm not extremely old, but I understand. But I understand paper flyers like this flyer right here. When I was a promoter in Philadelphia, we didn't have this. I literally took a regular piece of paper and got it cut in fours, and this became. It was off a Word document. So basically. that's still a good way to touch your audience. Also, too, collecting emails while you're out and about when you're having these shows. Set up your laptop, get some friends that can sit at a table and collect that data. Because yes, if social media goes down, if it goes away, you would never make no money. The people that are really, and that's when we talk about multiple streams of income, like figure out how you're still getting paid checks, and then doing your business right, where you get 6 months in advance, 6 months in advance, a year in advance, and not just weekly stuff. Like learn how to advance your money and not just have it just every day and you're just hoping that they got the money next week. Get that full 6 month worth amount of money. But I think just emails and touching the people and taking photos and keeping in touch with them, phone numbers, text, you got the text options to do stuff like that. So I think that's still an organic way to kind of do more shows or do more pop-ups and be places, show up and boutique or whatever, you're an influencer here and you're in the people's faces. I think that's still an organic way that we can still touch the people and get real followers and lovers of what you're doing.
Yeah, and actually, I think one way you can grow your business is by having leverage and metrics. Meaning, like, okay, say, like, are you an artist? Actor? Okay, so if an artist were looking for ways to make more revenue and grow their business, right? So if I happen to have, if my data shows that I have 5,000 listeners in Los Angeles, like, it might be very appealing to someone who's getting started rapping or making music in Los Angeles, who's looking for an audience in their town. To them, if I can show that, hey, I have an audience that would have a value to you based on these metrics and this data here, like, give me $500 and I'll do a song with you. Like, it might only be $500, but if you can cover your studio time with it, and like, they're gonna promote it, tell all their friends and their fan base about how they're working with someone who's ahead of them in their city, that's a good way to get a little bit of cash, make content that pays for itself, and now you get free promo. And if then you have a case study with the artist you did a song with. Yep, this guy, his first song did 1,000 hits, he did one with me, now he's got 25,000. So now you can use that as like a case study to try to appeal to artist number 2 to do a song with you for $1,000. So you can do things like that, but it all starts with having the metrics to show that you are of value.
Anybody else? We're good? All right, so we don't want the knowledge and the wealth that you all have to end here. If you all can just share with the audience how they can reach out to you, once this event ends, we'll wrap it up. No more questions? Okay. Oh, Tony Ben.
How you doing? I'm Brad Smith, Decepticon producer DJ. So I got a great question. So I've been touring, doing like small shows, so anywhere between like 10, 15 cities, fan base around 10K to 21 with streams on Spotify. So the number one question as a producer, as artists and DJ friends we got, is easy for us to market on Spotify with a certain amount of dollars. You're like, all right, here goes 1,000, here goes 5,000 in the market, and you can kind of penetrate that small fan base. The biggest question we got now is Apple Music and what's next and how do we, because a lot of us have no idea how to penetrate Apple Music.
That's me. So Apple Music that's a great question because it's a great opportunity for growth, right? And Apple Music is pretty much playing catch up to Spotify because Spotify kind of took and ran what they were doing and they ran with it so much that Apple was like, oh crap, like maybe we do need to do it this way. And like that's why iTunes isn't a thing anymore, it's Apple Music. And Apple Music just recently released their like Apple Music for Artists app where you can even look at the data that's being generated. So like Spotify for Artists, I think that came out like 5 years ago. So that's how far behind Apple Music is in terms of like being the artist and gathering data and how do I penetrate markets here. Spotify is definitely easier because their independent playlist, like curator market is a lot more saturated and there are a lot more people who found a playlist 2 years ago that are just still in it. And Apple Music, the curated playlists aren't as popular yet. A lot of the folks are still listening to the playlists that are generated by Apple Music, which you can't like pay me to put you on. because it's made by Apple, right? So eventually there's going to be those, or we hope that there's going to be these markets of the curators who have their own audience that you can tap into. Just like I compare playlisting to like a newspaper ad in the 90s. Like even if you had the best new restaurant in town, if no one knows you're there, good luck. And like you got the newspaper had an audience of people in your city that read it every day, and you had to pay to be placed in front of them. And then like you hope that your message resonates with whoever's reading the paper that day or week or whatever. And Apple Music will soon catch up, but right now it's tough. So I don't have a direct answer for you, but you can prepare to grow into it. That's what I would say. You're already ahead of the game by thinking about how do I do this? How do I get here? Yeah, I talk too much.
Is this all the time between y'all?
Every day.
So I just looked at some numbers for Apple Music real quick. 41% of Apple Music's listeners in the US right now. And they attribute 31% of that to just owning an iPhone. So if your market's in the US, you shouldn't think about Apple Music right now. They're just not there. Spotify took off and ran with it. Really, if you want to go on Apple Music, it's because you know, okay, I have an audience in Brazil. I should go Apple Music. Really, you should go on Instagram, but pretend. Then look at how can I get onto Apple Music. But if that's not your audience, I wouldn't be worried about it yet. Like he said, it takes time.
We got one more question, and then this will be the last one for us to wrap up and get ready for.
Last question?
Yes, right here.
Multitasking. Excuse me. Thank you.
My name is Tegas. I just want to say I'm from Canada. This is my first time in Cali. It's very warm. I love it. Appreciate you guys being here. He had a very good. I'm actually just trying to follow up on his question. What you guys want Apple Music? My question is, whatever you guys can say with Tidal, because there's been an issue where my music. I don't think I've been paid by Tidal. Even if I get paid, I'll probably get paid like $2. But you know, I'm just trying to see, like, because it's even harder to go on Tidal because we have no access. Tidal and like Amazon Music, no access to stats. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And obviously there's a pocket of people that use those preferentially. Obviously it's not the same as Spotify music, but just as artists be good to know, so my bad, that's my time. All right, cool.
So we used to promote on Tidal. About 6 months ago, we were told we had a cash flow issue. So we stopped completely because we didn't trust our clients getting paid. Tidal accounts for less than 1% of the market in the world. So I'd say, who cares about them? Why waste your time trying to get there? It's not worth the investment.
Yeah, one thing I can add to that is if artists like Jay-Z and Beyonce can't have successful rollouts exclusively on Tidal, then good luck.
All right, once again, drops mic. That was great, guys. Give everybody up here a round of applause.